In the ancient city of Jerusalem, around 1000 BCE, during the height of King David's reign, a woman named Bathsheba found her life forever altered by a single, fateful glance. Born into a prominent Israelite family, Bathsheba was the daughter of Eliam, one of David's elite warriors known as the 30, a group of valiant men who fought fiercely to expand and protect the kingdom. Her grandfather was likely Ahithophel, a shrewd counselor whose advice influenced the political decisions in David's court. In this era, families like hers were bound by a culture of duty and honor, where loyalty to the king and adherence to God's laws shaped daily life, yet the intrigues of power often tested those bonds. Jerusalem, the newly established capital, buzzed with activity as a fortified city of stone walls and bustling markets, symbolizing Israel's transformation from scattered tribes into a unified monarchy under David, who had risen from shepherd to warrior king after defeating Goliath and uniting the tribes around 1010 BCE. Bathsheba grew up in this vibrant yet volatile world, hearing tales of divine promises to Abraham and the conquests that made Israel a regional power. As was customary for women of her status in ancient Near Eastern society, she married young, wedding Uriah the Hittite, a foreign-born but loyal soldier in David's army, reflecting the inclusive yet hierarchical military culture where even non-Israelites could rise through valor. Their home near the royal palace placed them amid the political heart of the kingdom, where alliances were forged in battle and broken by ambition. Culturally, Israelite society emphasized the Torah's commandments, including strict prohibitions against adultery and murder. While politically, David's rule from approximately 1010 to 970 BCE marked a golden age of expansion, with victories over the Philistines, Moabites, Edomites, and Ammonites securing borders and tribute. Economically, this brought prosperity through trade routes linking Egypt, Phoenicia, and Mesopotamia, with goods like olive oil, wine, and metals flowing into Jerusalem. Technologically, the period saw advancements in ironworking for weapons and tools, as well as sophisticated fortification techniques that strengthened cities like Jerusalem. Yet, in the spring of 1 year, during the ongoing siege of Rabbah against the Ammonites, an event unfolded that would expose the frailties beneath this strength. Bathsheba, with her husband Uriah away at war, sought a moment of privacy in the heat of the day, bathing on her rooftop as was common in homes without indoor plumbing. From his palace terrace above, King David, who should have been leading his troops but remained in the city, caught sight of her. Enraptured by her beauty, he inquired about her identity, learning she was the wife of Uriah and daughter of Eliam. Undeterred by her marital status or the cultural taboos, David summoned her to the palace, where their encounter crossed into adultery, a grave sin under Mosaic law that could warrant death. Weeks later, Bathsheba sent a message to David. She was pregnant. In a society where lineage and honor were paramount, this revelation threatened scandal, as the child could not be Uriah's, given his absence. David, panicked, devised a cover-up, recalling Uriah from the front lines under the pretense of a war report. He urged the loyal warrior to go home and rest with his wife, hoping to attribute the pregnancy to him. But Uriah, embodying the era's strict military code, where soldiers abstained from marital relations during campaigns to maintain ritual purity, refused, sleeping instead at the palace gate with the guards. David tried again, feasting Uriah with wine to lower his inhibitions, but the Hittite's integrity held firm. Desperate, David escalated to murder, sealing a letter for Uriah to deliver to Joab, the army commander, instructing him to place Uriah in the thickest fighting and withdraw support. Uriah, unaware, carried his own death warrant back to the battlefield. In the fierce assault on Rabbah, amid flying arrows and clashing bronze swords, Uriah fell, killed as planned. Betrayal, that highlighted the political corruption possible even in a divinely anointed kingship. After Bathsheba observed the customary 7-day mourning period, David married her, bringing her into his royal household as one of his wives. To outsiders, it seemed an act of royal benevolence, but it concealed heinous crimes. Politically, this risked undermining David's authority among his warriors, who valued loyalty, while economically, the prolonged wars drained resources, though victories like Rabbah's capture brought spoils. Yet divine reckoning came swiftly. God dispatched the prophet Nathan, a key religious figure who often spoke truth to power, to confront the king. Nathan, using a masterful parable, described a rich man who stole a poor man's beloved lamb for a feast, igniting David's righteous anger. "You are that man," Nathan declared, exposing the adultery and orchestrated murder. He pronounced God's judgment. The sword would never depart from David's house. Calamity would strike from within his family, and the child of the affair would die. This reflected the cultural role of prophets as moral enforcers in a theocratic society, where kings were accountable to Yahweh. True to the prophecy, Bathsheba's firstborn son fell gravely ill shortly after birth. David, stricken with guilt, fasted, prayed, and lay on the ground in sackcloth, pleading for mercy in a display of raw emotion that humanized the mighty king. But the child died, a tragedy underscoring the high infant mortality rates of the time due to limited medical knowledge, relying on herbal remedies and prayers. Bathsheba's grief must have been profound, as a mother in a patriarchal world where women's voices were often silenced. Yet from this darkness came redemption. Bathsheba bore David another son, Solomon, around 990 BCE, whom God favored, granting him the name Jedidiah, meaning beloved of the Lord, through Nathan. This child grew amid the palace's opulence, fueled by economic booms from international trade, including cedar wood from Tyre and gold from Ophir. As David aged into the 970s BCE, palace intrigues escalated, mirroring the political instability of ancient monarchies where succession was contested. Adonijah, David's eldest surviving son, supported by Joab and the priest Abiathar, declared himself king with feasts and alliances, exploiting David's frailty. Bathsheba, now a savvy political actor, allied with Nathan to approach the king, reminding him of his oath that Solomon would succeed him. Their plea swayed David, who ordered Solomon's anointing at the Gihon Spring, with public processions, trumpet blasts, and acclamations that quelled Adonijah's bid. Solomon's coronation around 970 BCE initiated a reign of peace and wisdom, lasting until 931 BCE. He centralized power, building the first temple in Jerusalem, a technological feat of quarried stone, overlaid gold, and imported craftsmanship from Phoenicia, symbolizing cultural and religious unification. Politically, Solomon's diplomatic marriages with Egypt and other nations expanded influence, while economically, his control of trade routes amassed wealth, with annual gold revenues equaling modern billions. Technologically, advancements included chariot cities with stables for thousands of horses and sophisticated water systems like the Siloam Tunnel. Culturally, Solomon's proverbs and songs enriched Hebrew literature, influencing wisdom traditions across the Near East. Bathsheba, as Queen Mother or Gebira, held a position of honor, advising her son and embodying resilience in a male-dominated court. Regionally, her story ensured a stable transition, preventing civil war and solidifying the united monarchy, which controlled vast territories from the Euphrates to Egypt. Globally, her legacy endures in religious traditions, in Judaism as a figure of providence and motherhood, in Christianity as an ancestor of Jesus in Matthew's genealogy symbolizing redemption, and even in Islamic interpretations, though altered to preserve prophetic infallibility. Scholars debate the narrative's historicity, viewing it as part of the Deuteronomistic history compiled centuries later, with some seeing Bathsheba as a victim of power imbalance rather than a willing participant. Her tale's impact resonates in discussions of ethics, power, and gender dynamics, influencing art, literature, and theology for millennia. In reflecting on Bathsheba's journey, we confront timeless lessons that even the mightiest fall to human weakness, yet grace can transform scandal into legacy. Her life reminds us that redemption often emerges from brokenness, urging compassion in judging historical figures and wisdom in navigating our own moral landscapes. In a world still grappling with power abuses, Bathsheba's story challenges us to seek justice, embrace forgiveness, and recognize how personal choices shape empires and eternities.